College Football Update with your host, Sean Spencer and Alex Loosemore.
But look, hey, let's move on down the list. We'll talk about coaches on the hot seat. I mean, look, we've seen what some of these coaches can do, but we've seen the fact that some of these coaches, man, we need to pump our brakes. Remember last year we were talking Norvell, FSU. We see how that's turned around. We were talking, unfortunately, Herm Edwards. We saw how they did him out there. We talked a couple names that are on the list this year. Dino Babers of Syracuse. You know what I mean? Started off 6-0, and I was like, okay, he's off the list. Then he ended the season 1-6. You know, and then you still make a bowl game, but at the same time, it's like, dude, what happened where they collapsed that much? You know what I mean? So who are some names that you might have on your on a hot seat?
For me, the biggest name probably on this list is the loser of this weekend's Miami A&M game.
Yep.
It's either going to be Jimbo Fisher or Mario Cristobal. I think I think the loser goes on the hot seat. I don't think either of them lose their job this year.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be one of those ones kind of like Scott Frost last year, where it's a scalding hot seat going into the next season. And if you start off really slow, there's the door, you're gone.
Yep.
And another one that kind of fits into that mold, as much as I hate to say it, is Billy Napier.
Yes. I was thinking about that.
Yeah.
As
much as I hate to say it, because I'm one of those guys, you get 3 full years and then you make that decision. But just the way they're looking at some of these schools and some of these situations at high-profile schools, you don't get that amount of time.
No, not in the SEC. You know, I mean, and shoot, Big Ten, I'll give that. They don't get them there either. That's the issue. Like, you know, I'm all about him. I have shouted him out since he came from the University of Louisiana. We've seen, you know, he struggled his first year, was able to get Anthony Richardson that high up in the draft, which is great, but you had an athlete like that. So what can you produce? I was one of those that said, wait till he gets his recruits. Well, he didn't recruit a quarterback that was worthy of starting until we got Graham Mertz. I thought before watching the game, just like everybody else, here they go. They're not going to do anything because of Mertz. Mertz didn't look bad. At over 300 yards in the air, only 1 touchdown. But he doesn't really have that much help. He has a wide receiver, Parasol. He has Etienne, Travis Etienne's little brother. But it just they didn't look good. I mean, and first let's shout out Utah. Utah has a stout defense. We know that. But Utah also didn't have Cam Rising in that ball game.
Yeah.
So those are the type of games when you have those type of advantages. Napier, you got to get your guys up to win. And if you can't get, I mean, that's a tough team right there. But, you know, you got some teams that are lower in the SEC that are kind of moving up. You mess around and lose to, a Vanderbilt, who we've seen is undefeated right now and they're playing you in a couple weeks. I'm with you. He might need to be shown the door on that one.
Mm-hmm.
So another name that I want to ask you about that actually just came on board. And I don't necessarily think this guy's in the hot seat, but if he loses this week, I think we might need to be talking about something because they like to win there in Nebraska. Matt Rule, the way that he lost that first game, and then if he loses badly to Colorado, I know they're not going to get him out immediately, but you can't do that in Nebraska. I mean, in the Big Ten, it's only getting harder.
I mean, we also saw how long Scott Frost got.
Yeah.
So he's going to get a year and a half before that seat starts to get warm.
Yeah.
And we got to remember Rules transitioning back to the college game. Obviously, we know it's a whole different style of coaching there, the 365-day coaching with recruiting and all that. He didn't really get his recruits in.
Yeah.
Just kind of scrounged out the transfer portal and whatever he could that was left in the high school recruits. So we'll see. Let's let him get his full first class in this offseason, and then let's make the judgment on Matt Rule. But that's one where I say let's pump the brakes, put that ice back on the seat, let it cool down, and give him some more time.
Yeah. But hey, you got to get those W's, get those wins. I do want it. Two more guys. I talked about Tom Allen in Indiana, who absolutely has to win. I mean, almost has to win out to keep his job, in my opinion. But another team we talked about, that Penn State game, the team that played West Virginia, Neil Brown. He's one.
That was another guy we talked about last year too.
Exactly. He was able to keep his job. I mean, I've liked this guy. I'm partial to West Virginia because of my fiance and her family. They absolutely love him. But this guy, West Virginia, hasn't had consecutive losing seasons since the late 70s, and they had it last year. You know what I mean? And they had some ugly games. We talked about the game against Texas where Bijan ran all over them. It was 28-0 early on in that game. Right now, he's still there, and I don't necessarily see him going right now. They have a new AD in Ren Baker, that, you know, he's keeping the thought open. But at this point, in order for them to move on from him, it'd be like a $16.7 million buyout. So it's looking like they're going to stay put with him right now. But still, it definitely makes you you worry about him, because that quarterback he had last year, Doge, was not that great. He's got his a true freshman that was in last year. He's coming in this year, Green. You still come out flat in that first game, albeit a team that we're both picking to be in the Final Four. You still kind of come out flat, and you're struggling in that one. You're gonna have to get a W this coming week. And I believe they play a lesser opponent. I'll check that out. But I think so. Yeah. Yeah, Neil Brown is definitely on that hot seat.
Yeah, he's one where I feel like nothing will happen right now, especially because of that buyout. But it's one where if they have another bad season, I think he could be out the door.
Yep.
Because like you said, they don't have losing seasons that often. And if they get another one here, you're only asking for trouble. And I mean, I kind of cut them some slack with last week because it was essentially a whiteout game. It was at night, Penn State. It was the unglorified whiteout. It was the whiteout without actually being considered the whiteout. I mean, like I said, I feel like Penn State's one of the 5 best teams in the nation.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna cut West Virginia a little bit of slack on that one, but they better show something soon. That's all I can say with that. Yeah, they host Duquesne this week.
Right. So
tomorrow,
they need to get that W. Listen, what Eric said. They paid him big time, so he can only get hot when the admin can actually do something, e.g. Jimbo Fisher. And oh my goodness, bring back Rich Rod.
I mean, he's doing well at Jacksonville State right now.
Yeah, getting dubs, getting it done. You have anybody else on your hot seat?
Not really. I feel like for the most part, it's a little too early.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there was those obvious ones we already talked about, but for most of these guys, we got to kind of wait and see.
Oh yeah. Totally agree with that.